Yeah, I'm great. It is unusually warm. We always seem to talk about the weather, but the weather is weird, so I guess that
It
makes
is weird.
sense. But yeah, I'm already thinking about next summer, and we are thinking about getting central air conditioning at our house, which we don't have. But it's getting warmer every summer. Last summer was quite bad, kind of unbearable. And forest fire smoke, too. There was so much forest fire smoke last year. It really would have been nice to have air conditioning to keep the windows closed
Yeah,
and have better indoor air quality.
that's sad.
But yeah, so I'm thinking about home upgrades, and I'm thinking about the slogan "Electrify Everything," which is a wonderful slogan, which is what we're heading towards for the year 2030. I know you sent me a link to the What on Earth podcast that you want to talk about later, but yeah, I wanted to bring it up because the main thing I got from that podcast was that idea of, we got to electrify everything. So we have to, when we have the choice for new home appliances, we really need to go for the green alternative and for the one that doesn't burn fossil fuels. So I'm just thinking about that in terms of, what I'm going to do with my home upgrades, including air conditioning, which really, even though we don't need it, we should probably get a heat pump instead of just an air conditioner,
I
something
was
that
going
can
to
do
ask you
heating
about
and
that.
cooling. So for someday in the future, we can heat our home with electricity. Although I'm slightly worried about it because I feel like whenever I get quotes for that, people are going to look at me like I'm insane,
Yeah.
that I want to heat my home with electricity. But
Hmm.
it's an important thing to do. But yeah, I realized with this electrify everything mantra, which is where we're headed to in 2030, that I think the first step in my house, I'm going to have to upgrade my electrical panel because we have 100 amp service in our house. And, adding things like the electric car charger are our panels, I think, basically full. So if we want to do air conditioning, if we want to do an induction cooktop in the future, get rid of our gas range, that's going to need a lot of power and
Hmm.
possibly another car charger. So yeah, that's what I've been thinking about this week. Electrify everything and, start with upgrading the electrical in my house, which, I think everybody's going to be doing in the next, decade or so.
I put a special video out last week where I was comparing my house to how the world will go and what that would take, especially in Canada when you have a little bit less solar than places like Australia. But that's really what you're doing here. What you want to do is what the world will have to do in the next, um, hopefully before 30 years, and a lot of it has to be done this decade. But by the end of the decade, we're going to start switching over to heat pumps in Canada, I'm sure, if we're going to meet any climate goals, and it's going to take money and stuff like that. So, how do you feel right now? Is it too expensive?
Well, I'm going to find out. I haven't gotten any quotes yet, but yeah, I'm assuming it's more money to get a heat pump rather than just a standard air conditioner. But, that point from that podcast we're going to talk about later, I think it's a huge one. All of these things, furnaces, air conditioning, they all have a lifespan, and it is going to be very expensive to replace all this stuff and electrify everything. But if we do it when this stuff is at the, normal end of its lifespan, it's money that kind of has to be spent anyway. So I don't want to put in just a central air unit and then 10 years from now realize, oh crap, I should have put in a heat pump. But, it is, you and me we're ahead of the curve. We both have electric cars. This is not the normal thing around here. And yes, I really am worried about getting quotes and having people look at me like I'm insane that I want to heat my home with electricity.
You well, first of all, I mean, some of that would come from your roof, but we do have, what is it, 70% from fossil fuels where we live off the grid. Our grid is something like 70%, so and
Yeah, that's about right.
45 or so coal even.
Yeah, so it probably wouldn't make sense to heat the home with electricity right now. We probably have to wait until the grid gets cleaner. Like burning natural gas in the furnace is probably cleaner than using the
Right.
electricity from the grid. We'd have to look at that. But
Yeah.